Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently pushing the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to all the sincere believers. Now this is going to be a quick lesson just based on this short article. So through the Spirit, I'm going to read this, get some precepts, and Lord's will, you're edified. So it says, powerful winter storm triggers multiple pileup crashes. It says a dangerous winter storm triggered horrific pileups in multiple states, sending cars and trucks colliding on snowy highways. And this is no surprise because this happens every winter. Every winter, multiple crashes happen because the roads are slippery and icy and people don't drive properly. People don't drive slower. People still drive either at the speed limit or above the speed limit. And then depending on how severe the winter storm is, there could be whiteout conditions where people can't see in front of them. And people, just still drive very recklessly. And then next thing you know, they're just crashing into the back of each other. And we know that when it comes to trucks, it takes these trucks a lot longer to slow down than it does for these cars. And to be honest, there is a certain level of, skepticism, because it's like you would think that people are not that stupid to be basically speeding on an icy road in possibly whiteout conditions where they can't see, and where if they need to brake quickly, they don't have any traction because they're moving too fast. You would think that people are not that stupid, but we've seen it time and time again. These pileups that happen. These cars crashing into each other. It's basically highway bumper cars. Like this picture right here in this video, these cars piled up. You would think that this was all staged, because it's like, how in the world are people that stupid where it's snowing, it's cold, the roads are slippery, people's tires are probably not warmed up enough for them to really have enough traction to stop fast. There's so many factors where it's like, if you look at these type of situations, you're like, this has to be some kind of joke, because nobody in their right mind is speeding down a highway in these conditions. But these type of incidents keep happening. Now, if these are real incidents and not, some nonsense that Esau is putting together, then this really just goes to show how incompetent people are and how majority of people really should not be allowed on the road. Because even in my personal experience on the road, I've seen people, when it's snowing, when the roads are icy, when it's raining, people are just speeding and acting like it's a bright sunny day, and it's like, it makes no sense how reckless and careless people are out here. But as I said, if this is real, and if, people really are, doing this and getting into these crashes, and people are getting injured, and in some cases people are getting killed, that's the judgment of the Heavenly Father right there. Psalms 9:16, the Lord Yahweh is known by the judgment which he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Higgaion, Selah. And that's right. So when it comes to these car crashes and these pileups, that result in, vehicles getting severely damaged, people getting wounded, people getting killed. Sometimes these crashes are so severe that vehicles are catching on fire, the cars and the trucks. This is the judgment of the Lord. These are exactly the type of things that we can expect to see a lot more of taking place in these last days. Because like it says in 2 Timothy 3:1, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. And when you look up the definition of perilous, it means full of danger or risk. And we are in some times that are full of danger, some very dangerous times. And these storms becoming more severe and more hazardous are part of those dangers. Isaiah 29:6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord Yahweh of hosts with thunder, and with earthquake, and great noise, with storm and tempest, and the flame of devouring fire. And that's right. So these snowstorms, blizzards, rainstorms, lightning storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, tropical storms, all of these different storms and tempests are the Lord visiting. That's what this is. It's the Lord visiting. You know, when earthquakes hit, that's a sign of the Lord visiting. When there's fires, brush fires, wildfires, those are forms of the Lord visiting. Deuteronomy 32:39. See now that I, even I, am He, and there is no power with me. I kill and I make alive, I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. And we see in a lot of these car crash cases, people get wounded and people get killed. In most of these cases, somebody or multiple people are either getting wounded or getting killed. And it's men, women, and children. Because like it says in Romans 2:11, there is no respect of persons with Yahweh. So anybody and everybody is liable to get caught up in these judgments if that's what the Heavenly Father wants. And like it says, neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. Because, you'll have all of these signs on the road that say, when it's snowing, drive slower, be aware of your surroundings more than you probably would on a clear sunny day, or you would have to be on a clear sunny day. And yet people just ignore it. Like there are people who go flying down the highway when they can't even see the lines on the road because there's so much snow on the road. They'll still, just people don't care. And like I said, people speeding on slippery roads, when they have to slow down or brake really fast because of somebody in front of them or something, they try to brake and their wheels have no traction. So either one, they just crash into whatever they're going to crash into, or they spin out of control. And that could be avoided if people drove more cautiously. But when you understand that these crashes are the work of the Lord, and that this is one of the ways that He brings judgment upon these wicked people that He is angry with, then, it makes more sense as to why these incidents keep happening. And that's why the scriptures say, neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. Because no matter how many speed bumps, no matter how many stop signs, no matter how many radars there is, like speed radars, people are still going to drive recklessly. And for the people who drive recklessly and get themselves caught up in something, they crash, they spin out of control, they cause a multi-car pileup. That was the judgment of the Lord. And the people who get wounded and killed in these judgments, that was meant to happen. Because the Heavenly Father controls all judgments. If He didn't want people to die in these crashes or get wounded in these crashes, He probably just flat out would not allow these crashes to even happen. But these storms and tempests and the conditions that occur as a result of these storms and tempests that lead to these crashes, it's all a part of the Lord's plan. It's all part of his way of punishing these wicked people. And these storms and tempests are going to continue to happen. And these crashes and the injuries and death that usually results is going to continue to happen and even skyrocket. You know, I was saying in a previous lesson that I believe that the death toll of 2026 is going to surpass that of 2025 because of the amount of judgment that the Lord is going to increase upon this earth. 2026 is going to be an even crazier year than 2025. And every year that we're here is going to be crazier than the last until the Lord ultimately destroys this place. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakudash, the Wadi Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to our brothers who are fervently pushing the word in sincerity and in faith. And shalom to all the sincere believers. Hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up. Adawan Ratazah. Till next time, shalom.